After about an hour's drive, we had arrived at Hocking Hills State Park, one of our favorite little places to visit for weekend getaways and day hikes. It was frigid cold, and a fresh layer of snow was covering everything in sight. In the 18th century, the Wyandot lived in the area along the bank of the Hocking River. This land was also frequently traveled and hunted by the Shawnee and Delaware nations.
Colonists didn't permanently settle the area until the 1790s, and they found an abundance of game, including deer, elk, turkey, bears, and an occasional bison.
In the mid-1800s, the park was frequented by locals as a popular hiking and picnicking area. By the early 1900s, better roads and accessibility meant that the forests were under threat by lumbering operations. But a few decades later, the state purchased the land, restored the forests, and created the park that millions of people now enjoy each year.
The spectacular caves and rock shelters in this area were formed when soft layers of Blackhand sandstone, sandwiched between harder layers, eroded away over time. Hiking through the narrow and steep stone passageways can be difficult enough during the summer, let alone when it's completely iced over. Sometimes, you just have to summon up your inner 6-year-old. Every time I walk into this grotto and see the scraggy cliffs and rushing cascades, I feel like I'm being transported back in time, or across worlds into a mystical land. A lot of people come during the summer months, when the greenery of the hemlocks and the moss-covered stones glow in the sunlight, and when the ferns and wildflowers sprout from the soil. But the cold season transforms Hocking Hills into a real-life winter wonderland.
The stairs were even harder on the way up.
That wide stance really helped.
There are lots of other beautiful places you can drive to in the area, like Cantwell Cliffs, Conkle's Hollow, Cedar Falls, and Rock House.
Today, our destination was Ash Cave. The path leading to this beautiful site is paved and fairly accessible to any visitor. During the summer, the flanking stone bluffs and cool air almost give you a feeling of being indoors.
But during winter, the elements make you remember that you're outside. As the wind blew, crystalline dust swirled down from above. The thick snow covered every tree, branch, and pine needle in sight.
As we hiked, the tall bluffs and hemlocks dwarfed us in size, and we were filled with a sense of wonderment.
Winter wasn't coming. It was already here.
At 700 feet in length, 100 feet in depth, and 9 stories in height, Ash Cave is an impressive sight to behold during any time of the year. But it's truly spectacular during the winter, when icicles cling from the rocky crevices and cliff faces above.
Named after a huge pile of ashes found under the rocky overhang, Ash Cave was once used as a camping spot for indigenous Americans. The largest pile ever found was said to be 100 feet long, 30 feet wide, and 3 feet deep. No one knows for sure the source of these piles, but contained within were arrows, animal bones, pottery, and flint.
During the cold season, the Ash Cave waterfall forms a massive tower of ice beneath it.
We've been here like 5 or 6 times, but every time we come back, it's so surreal.
It really is, and this is actually the first place that we camped at. And every time you come into Ash Cave, it's so big that my brain kind of recoils and doesn't know how to gauge like exactly how big it is. It's like my depth perception kind of goes off.
It's always
so
like
big.
super surreal, and you're just like, is this real? And it's especially so in the winter because you see the bright snow out there, and then you see like the orange rocks. And it's just such an incredible contrast of color.
Yeah, it's pretty cool too because there's pigeons actually sleeping in the rocks here.
And we heard them cooing, and the sound, the acoustics are incredible. You could just hear it all throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, there was a dog earlier, and he was on the other side. We were over there, and you just heard like this loud bark. It's almost like a wolf or something.
What you don't see is on the opposite side of the camera, there's all this graffiti on the walls. Kind of unfortunate, but it's actually kind of cool too, because some of them are from the 19th century. And it's funny because all the names people scrawled in like into the 20th and 21st centuries, they're all like chicken scratch. But I guess back then they had a much higher standard of handwriting, because that's like a typewriter. That's like Times New Roman.
It looks like somebody took some effort and actually made a nice looking initial.
Wow, that is incredible.
I still remember being entranced by the yawning caves and colossal cliffs the first time I came camping here. My eyes were open to just how spectacular the forces of nature could be.
Parks like this are filled with visitors in the summer. The sounds of children laughing and people chattering echo through the cliffs. In the winter, Hocking Hills feels desolate, quiet, and empty, and it gives you a sense of solitude. But as you gaze around, watching the birds fluttering, the trees swaying, and the water rushing, you remember that the world around you is alive, autonomous, and continues on with or without you.
Every year, people see the same icy tower looming above them. From the indigenous people who built fires here thousands of years ago, to 21st century people like us. Each spring it melts away only to be formed the next winter, like a new incarnation of the season, a fresh embodiment of the spirit of winter, always the same, but ever changing.